welcome to ADTV, and today you join us back out with the Environment Agency and we're following another day with them to see exactly what they get up to. Now I'm joined by my old friend and Environment Agency worker Kev Grout, who's going to talk us through exactly what we're doing today. So first of all, Kev, thank you very much for joining us.
No worries.
I know you're eager to get on, but we just want to fire a few questions at you. First of all, obviously, exactly what is going on today?
Right, we're here working at Durham District Angling Club today, helping them try and assess their stocks. So we're doing that in a number of ways, and as you've seen today, we're actually netting one of the lake's willow. And the main part of it really is to try and help the club monitor what fish they have in the lakes and actually help them manage those stocks, because as you can see, they've got a huge amount of water here to try and manage, and it's incredible really. And one of the problems the club has is that they will have certain populations of fish in certain lakes that aren't really benefiting the angling. So we're trying to help them understand what is in the lakes and actually help them move those fish around to improve angling. Yeah,
so perhaps they can then act on what you find, basically moving on forward. So today, obviously, you're doing work for the rest of the week on the other complex, but we'll concentrate on willow, as you said. So we're going to be, or we have been doing some netting. So just talk us through the actual process of the netting. So I've never seen it before. I'm guessing a lot of people have not seen it. So basically, nets go out in a boat to start with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the process is called seine netting. It's something that we use a lot at the agency to actually monitor fish stocks. And essentially, it's a net which contains a float line and a lead line. The float line being on the top, lead line being on the bottom. We load it in such a way into the boat that it comes off very smoothly and sets itself. We then try and locate the fish using sonars and our own knowledge, and we'll actually position the net around the fish, allowing the leads to sink and the floats to float, and sort of sending it out in a semicircle shape, as you've seen, and then we slowly bring the floats back in, drawing the leads in as we go, and then when we get to a certain point, we pull the leads up over the fish and hopefully have them in a bag.
It's a pretty slick process. You've obviously done it a few times. It's pretty heavy. I've even had to get on the ropes and pull it in a few times, but we've caught a few fish, haven't we?
Yeah, we had a few,
Quite localised in some areas, but hence winter fishing, I guess. Is that what you'd expect to find in, like, in one sort of place?
Yeah, definitely. And the interesting thing is, as you've noticed, we're catching certain species in certain areas, which is really, really cool, and it allows the club to understand what parts of the lake are actually really beneficial to certain species. And although we're actually just in theory monitoring the fish stocks, we're actually helping the club move some fish around today, as you've seen. We caught a lot of small juvenile bream, tiny ones, and they've got a little lake at the back of the fishery which we call the pond, which we're trying to develop as a junior pond, which will allow youngsters to come along and begin so that they're not facing this huge gravel pit trying to catch fish. They can actually concentrate on a smaller lake, catch a few fish and build up their confidence from there.
No, exactly. You can see exactly what the work's doing. It's hopefully benefiting the fishery. The last thing I'd sort of fire to you is one question we always get in angling, working within the trade, is rod licence money. Where does it go? What does it get spent on? So projects exactly like this, and as long as it's a non-profit organisation, they can get in contact with you, and potentially you could help them out as well. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, the work we've done this week with the club, if they were a commercial business and they were hiring a commercial company to do this work, we're talking thousands of pounds. So it's really beneficial to the club financially, and it allows us to achieve certain objectives. And this isn't the only work we've done with the club. We've also installed the floating island in Willow, which improves habitat. We also work with the trout fishery, which is just at the other side of the Wensum, because they've got a problem with unwanted roach stocks. So we're actually working with them to remove the roach from that trout fishery and move them into the coarse fishery where they can benefit anglers. So we've got a number of projects, and also not only do they have 5 gravel pits here, they also have a very nice stretch of the Wensum, which I believe Steve's going to touch on later. Cool.
Well, if you do find yourself in a club and organisation that potentially they could help you out, get in contact with EA, because I'm sure the work they're doing here could benefit your fishery as well. But thank you very much, Kev. It's been great speaking to you. I know we've got perhaps another net to do, so we'll get on with that now and see if we can't have a few more in the last net.
Excellent.
Right, okay, Kev's gone back and he's just getting that last net ready, but I've managed to grab John. Now, thank you very much for having a chat with us, John. So, and I quote, you are one of the youngest on the committee for this angling club. So, and I just want to get a quick interview with yourself on how it's benefited you as a club. Obviously, you've seen it grow from the work the EA done from the start to now. How has it benefited you for anyone else sort of looking at from the outside?
There's so many things that as a club we wouldn't have been able to either afford or physically have the manpower to do. You know, things like today, obviously with a netting to assess fish stocks and move some fish about for the benefit of the fishery. That just I would imagine most angling clubs would never have the opportunity to do without the help that's offered by the EA. So yeah, we're very grateful, and obviously there's been a lot that's gone on over the fishery in recent years with their help. Yeah,
it is very good, and I guess without that help you potentially wouldn't know what you know now about the fishery, perhaps your stocks in certain lakes. And,
that's right, we've been able to assess what's here and move things around for the benefit of the fishery and for the anglers in the club. And it's improved fishing at sort of ground level, as we've seen today with the bag of small skimmers that we had out earlier on. You know, when willow was netted a couple of years ago, they just weren't there. So we've got a whole new year stock of fish through, and we've been able to move some of those today over into the pond. To try and improve the fishing on there for junior members. Exactly, that is one thing that from an outside point of view, looking into your committee and your club you do, you're obviously forward thinking because you're putting fish in the right area. Like you said, you're putting the smaller fish into junior lake. I mean, we mentioned off camera to me that perhaps some carp a couple of years ago weren't growing so big in a certain lake, and with the A's help you've moved into another lake. Same thing, so we'd stocked some AJS fish into willow again a few years ago. Growth rates weren't perhaps what we'd expected. There's some old fish on site that one or two have died in recent years, as they do, and we've been able to move hand select a few of the stockies with the Environment Agency's help and move them around again to provide a future with the next sort of year class of fish coming through. So yeah, it's all good. It is very good, and as you mentioned, the future is bright, and hopefully some more work going on throughout the years is going to put the fishery exactly where you want it to be. But I think we better go give them a hand because they're going to be kicking off if not. Thanks very much for having a chat. It's been really good to speak to you. No problem. Cheers. So that's it, netting done, but when I come out for day of the A, there is one man that I always have to have a conversation with. Thank you very much, Steve. It's great to see you again. Now, Kev has relieved you of some duties. He's given us a great insight of what's happening today with netting, but he briefly mentioned this excellent little habitat you've built here. So for anyone watching, and another thing you've done to this complex, can you just explain exactly what we've got here?
Yeah, so we've got the Wenson behind us, and this bay here we dug about 12, 13 years ago. It's really a fry bay. It's a fish refuge. It's a nursery area, somewhere they can spawn, and it gives the fish somewhere to get out of the way of floods and predation. And you can see it's beautiful. It's got lots of Norfolk reed in it, lots of cover, a variety of depths. We've got a couple of culvert pipes they also hide in. And really, I guess it's because, you know, although the Wensum's beautiful, it does lack some features that are quite important, particularly for things like roach, which, you know, as anglers, there is a lot of sort of concern about, like there is on the Avon. You know, there's not a lot of decent margins on the Wensum, so the young roach needs somewhere they can get out of the way of the flow, particularly when, you know, we get high flows and floods. So the idea of this was to try and address that balance, and obviously fantastic with the clubs we got here and the angling in the area and the river. It makes sense to do something here like this. So yeah, it's a fantastic feature. It is very good, mate, and for someone who sometimes struggle, little habitats like this for little fish, bringing them on is certainly good news. So again, thank you very much for the whole day. It's been brilliant. It's good to see what you're up to. Yeah, cheers guys.